Coaches, baseball and softball, I got a cheat code for you to help your production of your players go up, and you have to do less. Let's talk about it. Coaches, y'all ever had a first of the year meeting or an expectations meeting or this where you lay out what you expect and what you want from your players, your parents, everybody else? I know I have. It's important. We've got to have it to lay the groundwork. But what I'm going to throw at you is something to consider before you do that and then as you walk out. So let's be real. Having these expectation meetings is kind of eyewash, right? We got to have it, and people will say, I got to set the blind, I got to do this, and I got to let people know, and I got to this. Fair. Totally fair. But what I would submit to you is that people take notice of what you do, not what you say. And what that makes me think of is a quote that I've heard that I love. Show people and use words when necessary. A hard thing in our world today is everyone can be seen, everyone can talk, everything. Everything happens here and here. The problem that comes with that is words have lost their potency. Okay? Here's what I mean by that. I'm gonna give you an example. So if there's a person, let's say it's work, at business, right? All they do is yell and raise their voice and scream and get elevated and do all that stuff. It's gonna get people's attention. They're gonna hear it, they're gonna notice it, all the stuff. But what it's also going to do is it's going to lose potency. If you always yell, when you yell, people won't listen with the same intent. As opposed to if you never yell, well then when you yell, people are going, whoa, smokes, what's going on? So in the same way, our words, our expectations, our this, that, they lose their potency when our actions don't back it up. I've heard it stated this way: model what you want with no strings, period. So let's break that down a little bit. Do what you want without even expecting other people to do it. That's kind of crazy. But in reality, what that does is it proves what we're saying and what we're asking. It proves that it's not just bulletin board material. It's not just good in font. Doesn't just sound good. It's not a sales pitch. What it proves is you actually believe it. Now more than ever, people are looking for a reason to not trust you. They're looking for a reason to jump off board. They're looking for a reason to jump ship, to transfer, to move teams. They're looking for a reason. And hypocrisy is the starter for every one of those reasons. If you want people to leave, keep talking without backing it up. It's a simple concept, but it's not, because we don't do it. So it doesn't matter that it's simple because we don't do it. We've got to model what we want before we ask anybody else to do it. We've got to show that it matters. We got to buy into it. It's got to be consistent. And then when we don't do it, we got to apologize. We got to own up, just like we asked them to own up. And with that being said, I'm going to ask a hard question. I ask myself this question. I ask coaches that I mentor, organizations I work with, the same question. Are you asking teenagers or young adults or young women or young men to do things that you yourself are not doing? If you are, how can you ever ask that question with any authenticity? It doesn't mean that you have to have it figured out. It doesn't mean that you have to be perfect. It doesn't mean any of that. But if you're asking them to do stuff that you're not doing, it's messed up. It's really messed up. If you want buy-in from players to where they're arguing with their parents about staying on the team or staying with you hitting or staying here or staying there, then you gotta show it. You gotta be about it. We all know this, right? You go scroll through Instagram and TikTok, you're gonna hear very similar things to what I'm saying, but we're not doing it. We're not doing it, okay? Are you modeling what you preach with no strings? And are you doing it with action? Nobody cares what you say. Anybody can talk. Anybody can write a script. Anybody can read a voiceover. Anybody can do that. But the actual risk, the actual cost is doing it. And then when you screw it up, own it. Own it like there's no tomorrow. Own it in such a way where then when one of your players screws up, you can ask them to own it because you did it. You owned it in front of everybody else. You make a bad decision, you make a bad call, own it. You screw up the field, You screw up the cue, own it. And they will too. If you want what's inside of your heart and your expectations and your beliefs to be mirrored, you've got to show it. You've got to be about it. You can't just talk about it. Nobody cares what you have to say. Really deep down in, nobody cares what you have to say. They want to see what you do. And your words should be used only when needed to back up and confirm how you walk. Coaches, it starts with us. If you don't like that, get out of being coach. Get out of a leadership position. That's what is required with leadership, more. If you don't like it, I'm sorry. I don't like it sometimes, but I got to get over it. Just like you got to get over it. Leadership costs. With great leadership comes great responsibility. Is it true or not? You make up your mind whether it's true or not, and stop putting stuff on kids that you're not doing. If you want to see their potential be realized, if you want to see them jump through walls for you, do this. Coaches, it starts with us. So we have to model it and we have to change and develop first. So we're going to be talking about stuff like this as I'm on this journey and growing and doing better with this. This is a together thing. This is a we thing. This is an eye-to-eye thing. No hierarchy here. So if you want that kind of challenge, if you want that kind of ability to grow as a person and a coach and a leader, check out these other videos that we have that are talking about that, developing that, so you can model what you preach and your players can reach their actual potential.